Judging in MMA has been the topic of controversy since the start of the sport. Many fights result in what the fan base tend to call a robbery. That's when a fighter seemingly did everything right to win, but ended up losing on the scorecards. One of the most universally agreed robberies is Paddy versus Gordon, for example. But generally, they are not as flagrant, and that's what creates the debate. To this day, people still argue that Sean Strickland should still be the middleweight champion, and some argue that Peter Yan did beat Sean O'Malley, and that made me think, why is it that after all this time, judging is still so controversial? We have what we call the unified rules now, and they've been revised multiple times to make sure that they are as optimal as possible, but we still have to deal with shady judging. The real problem is not whether or not their judging is good, it's the fact that it's inconsistent, and that's what the issue is. The unified rule says that damage trumps all, that takedown without control or effective grappling doesn't really count for a lot. And if they're pretty even everywhere, then octagon control can be factored in. It seems pretty fair to me. It means that if I bruise you up, create a cut on your forehead, and visibly injure your leg with kicks, you're not supposed to be able to catch up just because of a late round takedown. Now, the real issue is that it's not respected at all. For example, if you tell me DDP won against Strickland, I've got no issues with it. But then, you gotta tell me that Whitaker beat Izzy in the second fight, because legit the same things happened. They said DDP's takedowns and pressure won him the fight. He didn't attempt one submission, and Sean got up every single time after little to no control time. But Whitaker did the same to Izzy in their rematch, had the best moments, took Izzy down even for a little bit. Yes, nothing much, but Izzy didn't do shit neither. He just maybe outstruck him a little bit with no real big moments, exactly the same way Sean did DDP in round 5. So that for me is a perfect example of inconsistent judging. Because if you reward DDP for edging the round with some ineffective takedowns and some good pressure, do the same for Bobby Knuckles, but they didn't. Another example of double standards that actually passes under the radar for most is Gane versus Ngannou. In the rules it says that effective grappling trumps control time with no damage, That means that attempting submission and trying to improve position is more beneficial than laying on top of your opponent doing no real damage. And for me, following those rules, Gane got cheated out of a win. Because yes, Ngannou finished the 5th round controlling him, that's true. But before the knockdown, Gane was outstriking him like every other round, and even when they got on the floor, Gane was the one attempting submissions and trying to improve position. He tried that, I think it was a knee bar, that heel hook. He tried to improve, he actually was moving on the ground when Ngannou was just on top of him, doing nothing. But they gave it to Ngannou for control time. How does that work? Again, inconsistent judging. Same can be said for Volk and Islam. Now, I'm not here to argue if Islam or Volk won the fight. I'm just talking about that specific round. In their 3rd round, I think, Islam got the back and stayed against the fence, getting punched in the face, doing absolutely nothing, but won the round. When, even on bottom, Alex arguably did more damage. Like I said, I have no real issues with either results, but if you say control without effectiveness is worthless, stick to that rule. Now, creating some controversy for myself. The next one is actually gonna be one that gets me a lot of hate. Yan versus Pereira. This is one I actually care about, and I do have an opinion. To me, Yan won that fight 2-1. I don't really care about O'Malley versus Yan and all that because depending on what scoring criteria you use, it can go either way. But Yan and Pereira to me is a robbery. The 3rd round was pretty equal, with Yan even bopping Alex back a couple times, his head with jabs, and then completed the round on top of him with 40 seconds of control time. But the judges said that he didn't do enough damage with his takedown for it to count. But that 3rd round takedown was more impactful than any of DDP's takedowns in the Sean fight. And the round was way closer than Islam and Alex. So to me, he sealed the round with a takedown on every criteria you could use, control or damage, because the damage was pretty equal and he sealed it with a takedown. And control time, not just a takedown and Alex immediately got up. No, he took him down in a close round and held him there for 40 seconds. Jan Blachowicz should have won the fight. What I'm trying to say is that most of the controversial fights are not a result of robberies as per se, but a result of inconsistency in the criteria that the judges are using. What may count for more in one fight is going to count for less in another. One fight, somebody may win based on damage, even though he got controlled for majority of the round, but the other is gonna win because he controlled, even though he may have gotten knocked down or some. I think scoring training or open scoring might actually be a solution for this. But at the end of the day, we don't know the judges' agenda, if they got ties with the fighters or the UFC. What I'm trying to say is that it's impossible to turn a subjective sport with judges and scoring and to make it completely transparent, because we never know what's going on behind the scenes. But as usual, everything I said in this video is absolute facts and not open to debate, but you can still leave a comment to debate if you want. And see you soon.